Assalamu alaikum. I'm Mariam Wazirzada from FranklinCovey, Pakistan. Welcome to Leadership Icons. This is a platform dedicated to celebrating and sharing the stories of extraordinary leaders of Pakistan. This series is brought to you by FranklinCovey, Pakistan. And at FranklinCovey, our mission is to enable greatness. We believe in the transformative power of visionary leadership and its profound impact on individuals, organizations, and communities. Today, we are honored to welcome Amir Paracha. He is the chairman of the board and chief executive officer of Unilever Pakistan Limited. He is also the chief executive officer of Unilever Pakistan Foods Limited. Unilever Pakistan has been operating in the country for 70 years with over 20,000 employees and a diverse portfolio of more than 25 brands across multiple categories. Amir has been with Unilever for over 2 decades, joining the company in 2000 as an assistant brand manager. Since then, he has held various roles, both globally and in Pakistan, leading to his current position. Amir spearheads the company's vision, Unilever Pakistan, a purpose-driven movement aimed at enhancing Unilever Pakistan's positive impact on the lives of Pakistani citizens. As part of this mission, he is committed to advancing climate action, promoting a clean energy transition, reducing plastic waste, and accelerating the shift toward a circular economy in Pakistan. In addition to his role at Unilever, Amir has served as the president of the Overseas Investors Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He also serves on the boards of Shell Pakistan Limited, Karachi Vocational Training Center, Habib University Foundation, and the National Management Foundation. Furthermore, Amir leads the Center of Excellence for Responsible Business under the Pakistan Business Council and is a male champion of change as part of Australia's Pakistan Coalition. Amir Paracha, thank you for giving us your time today and to share your journey and the challenges you faced. Welcome to Leadership Icons. Assalamu alaikum, Amir. Thank you so much for giving us this time today, for sharing your story, your learnings, your challenges. And it brings us to my first question. This new vision, Unilever for Pakistan, I mean, how did this come about? Because I remember with my association with Unilever over the years, it's always about feel good, look good, care about yourself. Just tell me a little bit about this vision. It's so exciting. And in that, how did you shift the paradigms of your teams, your organization, the people here, and of course, the people outside?
So first of all, thank you, Mariam, for arranging this conversation, coming to the Unilever office. It's always nice to connect with you. I think so. We have a old relationship going back, 20 years?
Yes, 20 years.
So coming back to your question, I don't think so there's any change or a shift. I think so, I'll call it an evolution.
Right.
With a changing time, with a changing context.
Mm-hmm.
So more evolution hai, koi na change hai, na koi shift hai. And again, feeling good, looking good, we haven't abandoned that too. It's very much a part of our evolved view on the country, on the business, on the consumers, on the customers. Mm-hmm. And I think so when we talk about this Unilever for Pakistan, it's not very new because अब हमें 4-5 साल हो गए हम यूनिलीवर इन पाकिस्तान के बजाय यूनिलीवर फॉर पाकिस्तान की बात कर रहे हैं बट जो मोमेंट था जो वाटरशेड मोमेंट था वो था कोविड when the whole world came to a halt.
Of course.
And so our country Pakistan came to a screeching halt. And that was a time when we reflected और हमने कहा कि हमें पाकिस्तान के अंदर उतना ही टाइम हो गया एज एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जितना कंट्री को हो गया which is 75 years. और हमने इस कंपनी से बहुत कुछ सीखा है और बहुत कुछ लिया है. It's a time to give back to the country.
Absolutely.
And therefore the reflection was that we have to only interchange in with for.
Yeah.
the whole context changes.
Yes, just one preposition completely changes.
Completely changes from an in to the for.
Mm.
And now everything we do is for the country first, and then for the company, and then for the individual.
Okay.
So the purpose took the front seat and becomes a lot more larger. The canvas become a lot more larger, and it was a lot more inspiring. The horizon got a lot more broader.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so that's where the whole journey started some 4-5 years back, where it's a more evolved view on the country and the people of the country and the employee of the countries. And that's where we are.
And how easy was it? Or how challenging was it? Because whenever we think of organizations, it's always for profit as opposed to for people or for the people of the community that you're in. Was that an easy shift, a paradigm shift, or we talk about paradigms?
So it's an interesting question because जब ये COVID हुआ और हमने अपनी पहली campaign चलाई where we made a pledge that that's what we will do for the country, because we said at this point in time while lives are at stake, livelihoods are at a bigger stake, because ज़ाहिरी बात है लोगों की life risk थी because of Corona, but because the whole country got shut down, we have a big population in the country who are daily wagers.
Yes.
So even if they don't, contract COVID, and if they don't earn anything, they'll still die. So the livelihood starts to take precedence over lives. So I think so when we started off, it started with a tagline, which was कि बड़ा अच्छा लगा कि हमने कहा यार Unilever in Pakistani, Unilever for Pakistan. So it became a very nice tagline. But then we started to realize, is it only a vanity statement? Because it could become easily a vanity statement that you come up with a very creative tagline which says Unilever for Pakistan, which sounds good. But underneath, it's very shallow.
You have to follow through.
You have to follow through.
Yeah.
So when COVID was nearly over matlab, the world opened up, the country opened up, years down the lane, we started to reflect कि हाँ यार ये तो बड़ा अच्छा हो गया, हमने pledge भी किया और हमने we leaned in for the countrymen, for other corporations as well, how to navigate this time, because we were getting a lot of guidance from the global teams as well, and we were passing it on to the country. But I said, there has to be more to it. And we said, what is the manifestation of Unilever for Pakistan? बड़ी अच्छी statement है, but इसकी manifestation क्या है? And Unilever के अंदर हमारे 3-4 pillars हैं. हमारी एक पिलर है जिसके अंदर हम बात करते हैं नेचर की, एक पिलर है हमारा जिसके अंदर हम क्लाइमेट की बात करते हैं, एक हमारा पिलर है जिसके अंदर हम प्लास्टिक्स की बात करते हैं, एक पिलर है जिसमें हम लाइवलीहुड्स की बात करते हैं,
sustainability के अंदर making it a common place
जिसके अंदर हम बात करते हैं. So मैंने कहा कि out of all, while all have challenges and while all are very meaningful, but we found in Pakistan the most meaningful is actually livelihoods. And within livelihoods, again, we have two choices: more livelihoods or better livelihoods. ज़्यादा लोगों को हम लोगों ने रोजगार देना है या उन लोगों को अच्छा रोजगार देना है जो already रोजगार हासिल कर रहे हैं. So we said, instead of going for more livelihoods, we want to go for better livelihoods. So whoever working for us, they should earn enough to live meaningful, dignified lives.
Yes.
So there, हमने कहा कि हमारी जो Unilever Pakistan की manifestation होगी, वो होगी fair living wage, which is very different from the minimum wage. Minimum wage is the limit set by the government of Pakistan or government of any country,
which has recently been,
is the legal limit,
been tweaked a couple of times after many years.
But बहुत अच्छा हुआ है. We moved from 20 to 25 to 30 to 35, now 37. So it's a tectonic shift that's taken place in 2.5 years.
In 2.5 years,
which is fantastic. So then we said, we want to introduce this concept of fair living wage, which is more ethical compliance rather than legal compliance. अच्छा, अभी भी बातें बहुत अच्छी लग रही हैं, कहने में बहुत अच्छी हैं.
हाँ, मैं यही पूछने लगी थी कि इसको कैसे बनाते कैसे sustainable.
तो मेरे ख्याल में philosophically तो हम हमने कहा कि Unilever for Pakistan, then underneath better livelihoods, underneath fair living wage rather than minimum wage. But fair living wage का जो price tag है, that's a big price tag.
It is.
Because when you say I'm going to be not giving 25,000 rupees, which is a legal limit, but a 50,000 plus, because that's a fair living wage, then this means money.
Yeah.
And Unilever is a Corp B listed company, which means we are for-profit company.
Mm-hmm.
And any shareholder who invests in this company wants to draw higher returns, or at least competitive returns.
Yeah.
So how you ensure that your shareholders continue to drive competitive returns, yet the people who work at the company gets fair living wage, which is again not a legal limit but an ethical limit.
Yeah.
And that's where we took a leap of faith. That's a time where we have galvanized everyone that if everyone gets paid justifiably, and everyone gets paid enough that they live a dignified life, this means that Pakistan as a country will do well. And when Pakistan as a country will do well, anyone working or doing business in the country will do well as well.
Yep.
And that's why we are taking the lead. So we said we first start with us, because कहना आसान है, but क्या हम ये कर सकते हैं? और फिर हम लोगों ने एक अपने से एक promise किया as an organization that our endeavor is that over the next 5 years we'll take everyone in our company, both who are directly on our payroll and people who are not on our payroll but are partners payroll, तकरीबन कोई 15-16 हज़ार लोग हैं,
काफी हैं, जी,
we'll take them all towards a fair living wage journey, which means that we have to grow faster in order to create enough money that we plow back.
To create that momentum.
To create that
for
momentum.
Responsible sourcing and creating that entire concept.
And that whole idea was then when people working for us, they feel that we are being owned. Our problems are being addressed.
The company cares.
The company cares.
Yeah.
The productivity shoots up. And that's what happened. The productivity shot up. The same people, now they are a lot more productive.
Fantastic.
And they actually earned a lot more than what we gave it to them. So it became a win-win. It became a win-win for the company. As a company, we basically grew a lot more faster than we had grown in the past. And the people who worked for us are a lot more happier and a lot more productive because now their needs are being taken care in a more dignified way.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, I think so जो चीज़ बड़ी important है any business के लिए कि we have to do business which is economically sound. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, which is environmentally sustainable, and number three, which is socially just. Now, if you get all these three lined up and you strike the right equilibrium and the balance, then I think so there is no limit.
And I think people, Pakistanis per se, especially after COVID, realized how important it was to have all that aligned so that when such times do come, we're not just fighting for our lives. In fact, we have that kind of support.
Yeah, there's a buffer.
There is a buffer. Exactly, you got it. It's a buffer. Otherwise, I think it was like people were just, drowning and they didn't know how to survive. I think even organizations didn't. And where leadership was missing, those organizations have been wiped out because of lack of trust.
उसका अच्छा देखो फायदा ये होगा people when they started coming to the, when we unfolded this larger vision and the purpose with everyone, people within our organization stopped taking their jobs as jobs. They started taking their jobs
as a personal mission.
As a personal mission.
Purpose.
And this whole failing wage became not a target but a movement. Movement that first started within the company and then it went outside the company and the other companies started to understand the concept is. And people who were coming here, they said, it is my duty, not my job. So when every day they were not coming to draw a paycheck. They were coming because they were getting a lot of a high.
Yeah.
ठीक है, paycheck तो है, it's a hygiene factor. We all work for a paycheck.
Yeah.
But other than paycheck, if you get something which give you a moral high.
A boost.
A boost.
Yes. A purpose.
A larger purpose.
Yes.
Which is larger than you.
Yep. Yep.
Then I think so.
A sense of contribution.
The magic happens.
Yes, and I just love these words that, sense of purpose, talking about win-win. And I think what you have done now, this movement that you've started, because the latest phenomenon that we're all living through and we're making history is where we see 5 generations working shoulder by shoulder, standing, working with each other. And this global phenomenon has made us realize that we have to change faster in order to attract and retain the upcoming generations that are coming in, because this is what will, this is what they work for. They want to work for a purpose.
I think so. The difference is when I started on my career back in '96, I come from that era.
Yes,
from that,
so do I.
Yes. From that era, or from, I'll call it a stone age now, because it's been now 30 odd
I know
years.
we don't look it, but yes, nonetheless.
But मेरे ख्याल में उस वक्त काम किया जाता था paycheck के लिए, और काम किया जाता था you got to be perfectionist. And work. And the more you work, the more you get rewarded, and the more you get regarded. And,
yes.
And
hierarchy came with seniority, came with time, and yes.
Basically 5 से 9 काम नहीं करना, 9 to 5 काम नहीं करना, बल्कि 9 to 9 भी करना है, weekend पे भी काम करना है.
I remember
There's no concept of work-life balance.
Yes.
This new generation, and I think so rightly so, they're more enlightened than us. They say, while work is important, life is equally important.
Yes.
And they are not into possessions, they are more into experiences. We were more into possessions. अब पैसे जमा हो गए, गाड़ी लेनी है, अब पैसे जमा हो गए, घर लेना है, अब पैसे जमा हो गए तो ये करना है. They're saying no, the life is short. While I want to learn, I want to experience as well. And for experience, they need a lot of agility and flexibility. So it's a different generation altogether. And it's a generation that is whose childhood is very different than our childhood.
Yes, absolutely.
And
they have had different set of parents. Their physical wellness ke saath saath mental wellness, the awareness, the way they talk about it, the way they realize. Because I think our generation never wanted to admit or never realized that there's such a thing as mental wellness. Ab jaake realize hota hai.
शायद हमें इतना ज़रूरत भी नहीं थी.
We can say that, but I mean, our kids are now.
The reality is, मेरे ख्याल में, while you are right, there's more talk about the mental wellness as compared to our times. One of the reasons is that this social media or this virtual world is putting pressure.
It is.
Yeah, it's putting pressure because there was a time.
Acceptability.
There was a time because the reality is there is a playground where we grew up having physical activities. The generation early 2000 or particularly post 2010, it's a generation for them the playground is a virtual world. So the screens actually replace the physical world. And they have less face-to-face conversations and shoulder-to-shoulder adventures. They have more engagement with the screen. They're more thumbs up than the likes.
The gratification.
Instant.
It's instant.
And I think so that is putting them under the mental pressure. In our times, at least the good part was there's no such thing called social world, and you do not require instant gratification. Or there's a feedback loop. And I think that's the reason. That's a reality. I'm not saying that was bad and this is good and this is good.
It's a different reality. And how do we...
it's a context.
And I think this Unilever for Pakistan would really connect with this generation because they understand how important... They're really about truth. They're about they're very just. And I think they're about fairness. And I think this would really help Unilever. And I'm sure you've already started seeing that change. Now, as an organization, and I understand that you mentioned it, stakeholders ke liye, it's very important that we the profits of people ko bhi balance karke leke jana. You can't just, undermine one or the other. But in the world of this disruptive world, how have you or how has your leadership, felt this energy, or how do you bring that energy? Because I'm sure that this change that is going on, and I think Pakistan with this continuously, there's some change or the other. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think our viewers, what they'll really like to know is that how are you surviving all of this as a leader with this world of disruption? Because you still have to innovate, and we still have to survive. And you said lining up all your ducks. How do you know what works, what doesn't? And tell us a little bit about that in terms of, because you mentioned disruption is the currency of current times. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
So I think so, as you've rightly said, the whole world is getting disrupted. पाकिस्तान के अंदर भी disruption हो रही है.
जी.
But पाकिस्तान के अंदर मेरे ख्याल में 10 times other disruption हो रही है because of its own nuances as well.
Yes.
So anyone operating in Pakistan is more pressed or feeling pressured because एक तो global disruption है, उसके बाद हमारे पास politically turbulence है, हमारे पास social crisis है, हमारे पास climatic disruption है, हमारे पास economic instability है, और उसके बाद technological disruption तो पूरी दुनिया देख ही रही है, be in the face of human-like robots or advanced AI models like ChatGPT.
Yes.
Or the world being run by algorithms. So when you pack it all together, anyone operating in Pakistan has to be more strong-willed because this is not a country for faint-hearted people.
Yeah, so I hope the audience hears this.
Yeah.
It's not for faint-hearted
people. It's not for faint-hearted.
Yeah.
And I think so if you really want to be in Pakistan, then you have no choice but to stay bullish.
Yeah.
And you should basically consider the way you go to any of the, you go out to, and you pay and you buy the ticket for the roller coaster. And then you hop on the roller coaster and you yell and you scream and you say, stop it. And you say, and then once it finishes, you take a sigh of relief. Then you say, wow, I love it. And then you go and find another roller coaster, which is a lot more dangerous, with more scarier, more steep turns, more, steep drops. And I think that's what this country is.
The adrenaline that you get.
Yeah, so you need to get that adrenaline rush. You got to be an adrenaline junkie.
I think that's what we are.
If you're not an adrenaline junkie, this country can really basically be very heavy on your nerves.
Yeah.
So you got to really enjoy it. And you got to play it like a game. You got to play it like a game.
Yeah.
You win some, you lose some. But you are back in the game again because you really are enjoying even losing. And I think that's what this country is all about. And it really prepares you. It builds your resilience muscle. It builds you for the world ahead of you because it's going to be full of crises. We are seeing what's happening in the world.
Globally, you notice that it's
the Middle East crisis, the Russia-Ukraine crisis, what are happening in US, the whole populist governments that's coming in, the whole concept of globalization getting deglobalized.
And whatever was stable is now destabilized. And
so I think so you need a lot of resilience to fight out.
True.
And therefore you need to be more crisis pro. And also this should be baked into your everyday working style. So there's no such thing called crisis. It's like everyday things as usual.
Yeah.
And I think so when you accept that reality, then everything becomes very easy. Sure. Everything becomes like a walk in the park.
Yeah.
But if you take it कि ये crisis है, तो फिर बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा. Because every day then becomes a crisis and you think कि यार ये जब over होगा तो मैं relax करूँगा. और वो over कभी भी नहीं होगा. ठीक है? और आप फिर कभी भी relax नहीं करेंगे. और जब आप कभी भी relax नहीं करेंगे तो फिर breakdown हो जाएगा. And you can't continue going. So you got to start loving it, enjoying it, and play it like a game.
I think that's a great tip, especially if you're talking about on a macro level when any organization being in Pakistan, even mine for that matter, you have to be in it to win it, and you have to go through the storm to get to the other side. But a lot of times, it's about taking your people with you. And in this disruptive world, as leaders, we have a certain vision. You want to, you have a certain path that you want to take. How do you build that high trust? What kind of advice would you give to organizations who are maybe finding it difficult to take the people along on the same path, show them the vision, something that they can't see, because for the last several years they've not been seeing it. What do you do? What is it that maybe conversations? What is it that you do that helps you to put them also right behind you, blind faith?
So I'll be honest. I think so. Youngsters particularly are feeling hopeless. That's a reality, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Fine.
It's tough to inspire everyone, and it's tough to really show them the larger vision that this country has a lot of bright future to offer.
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Because everyone's saying, "Yeah, I need to move on. I need to grow as well. And is this the right place for me to invest in myself and grow?" So that's a prevalent mood in the organization, particularly in youngsters, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them because as a country we have always gone through a very rough patch, but the last 18 months have been pretty rough. Yes. The kind of inflation as a country we have never seen this.
Never.
3 years in a row, inflation of upwards of 25%. You look at the history of the country. Once we had in 1973, and the second time we had in 2008. And only for a year. This time around, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So 3 years in a row, inflation 25 plus. It's really is getting taxing.
It's daunting.
But having said that, the question we need to ask ourselves, what choices do we have other than fixing this country? We are a country of 240 million people. And the outside world is equally very disruptive. The outside world does not offer you enough opportunities as well. And if you were to look at a ratio where a lot of people saying कि brain drain हो रहा है, harm. Well, actually, मैं उसको brain drain नहीं कहता because अगर आप statistics को उठाएं, तो if in the last 2 years 1.7 million people have left, 80 to 90% of the people who have left are more people who are from the labor class. They're drivers or chefs or they are laborers. The people who are really brainy on the managerial level were 10%.
Right.
Or they're 1.7.
Right.
So 1.7 million का मतलब है कि जो brain drain हुआ है, वो 1.5 लाख 2 लाख लोगों का हुआ होगा. I think so. So if you look at a ratio, only 1 in 300 people will get a chance to go abroad. That's the ratio.
Wow.
That's a ratio. So 299 people will still have to...
They choose to stay.
Well, even if they don't choose to stay, from a probability lens,
they will be.
It's a 1 in 300 chance.
Yeah.
So out of only one, out of 300, only one will get a chance. So what 299 will do? They'll keep waiting for their turn. But again, some of them will never get a chance to go abroad. So I think so. You really take a bet on this country. I took a bet on this country. And God has been kind. I've never had to regret, ever. So take a bet on this country. This country will, if not today, inshallah, and many other countries in the world, and we have examples who have gone through a similar crisis.
Yes, yes.
And they have really bounced back well. And I'm confident that we will bounce back as well. Inshallah. We have nothing lacking. We have every other multinational working in this country. We have now great local organizations, outstanding local organizations
that have come up.
Who have basically now their practices, their R&D, their investment levels are as good or even better than multinationals. And our talent, we have always believed we have the best product in the world. We may not have the best brand image in the world, but we have the best product lineup in the world. Yes. And today, in today's world, where the geography doesn't make a difference in this world of technology. It becomes agnostic. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you come to office or not, whether you work from Pakistan or US, doesn't matter.
Isn't that fantastic? Because we couldn't have imagined this.
I didn't have that choice when I was growing up. My choice is that I have to go to office
check
to work. Check in, check out. ठीक है? वो floppy disk डालूंगा. ठीक है? तो मुझे करना पड़ेगा. मुझे वो practically modem connection चाहिए to take a print out. ठीक है? मुझे practically वो डायल वाली टेलीफोन चाहिए to talk to anyone. So मेरे पास choice नहीं थी. They can work anywhere, anytime. And they don't. Everything has become agnostic. It's place agnostic. They can get learning anywhere while sitting in Pakistan because everything is virtual. And I think that technology is a great equalizer.
It is.
It doesn't differentiate between are you rich or you're poor. You come a higher socioeconomic class or a lower socioeconomic class. Yeah? It gives you an equal opportunity. It gives you access.
Yes.
So I think so this technology, and our people have a lot of talent, a natural talent towards technology. We need to harness it more. Then regardless whether you're in Pakistan or you are based anywhere in Europe or US, you can still basically develop yourself and make yourself as a competitive global talent. And I think so we need to start taking that. And in that process, if you get a chance to go abroad, please go abroad. I went abroad. To get an exposure. There's nothing going up. There's no harm going abroad. People should. Anyone who's getting a chance must. Because
best practices,
best
you get
practices,
exposed,
and you
there's so much to
There's
learn.
Nothing stopping you. But then, please don't keep waiting. That I'll start working when my turn comes. I hope your turn comes, but there's a probability your turn never comes. Then what? Because the probability is very low. Given our population base is 24 crore लोग यहाँ पे रह रहे हैं और आज 24 करोड़ में सिर्फ 1 करोड़ पाकिस्तानी डायस्पोरा सिर्फ 1 करोड़ है पिछले 75 साल के अंदर. So मेरे ख्याल में I think so my advice to all the youngsters is you want to dream to basically be a global citizen, please do. You want to get education abroad, please do. You want to work abroad, get an exposure, work with different nationalities, you know, in a diverse environment, multilingual people, please do. There's nothing. And whenever you get a chance, grab it. But keep preparing, and keep preparing not only for the global talent, but also for Pakistan, because till you don't get a chance, it's take a year or 2 or 5 or 10, you still continue to keep growing. You don't put a stop.
So it's not
you don't keep waiting.
So it's not just people who reach a certain position or a status or even for that matter in a leadership position. You don't talk about just legacies at that time or age. It's anywhere you are, you're leaving a legacy. So what kind of a legacy do you want to be leaving even when you just enter an organization? And I think this new generation is really geared up because all they require is a platform. I was just having a conversation with somebody that you are so talented and you're so lucky that you're in this era where you can open up Instagram, put up your page, and I can see how talented you are. In my era, we couldn't do that. हमें तो पता भी नहीं था कि कहाँ जाके हमने अपने talent अंदर दबा के रखा है. तो and because of that,
हम तो बड़े हो रहे थे तो हमें 3 ही choice थी, या तुम डॉक्टर बनोगे या इंजीनियर बनोगे,
तीसरा क्या था? तीसरा तो वो नहीं था.
तीसरा या शायद अब्बा के साथ लग जाना अगर कुछ भी ना मिला तो.
Exactly.
But today you ask these youngsters, they say, I want to be in robotics, I want to be, a prompt engineer,
personal shopper. This is a new concept which is so amazing. It's so mind blowing. Mind blowing.
Wow, great! You want to be a YouTuber?
We sound very old, Amir. Okay, but yes,
but and plus, there are digital wallets.
Supporting.
I can't earn. And we couldn't earn till we basically have a degree. Today, the concept of degree is gone. It's all about skill first, degree second.
Yes.
So it does not necessarily mean that if you have not been able to land an admission in IB or a LUMS or a GK or anywhere, you are nothing. Because in our time, you got to be, a graduate of one of these universities or abroad. Today, if you have a skill and you can showcase, and there are platforms available like Insta or YouTube or Twitter, you can still keep growing and you keep earning from day one. So I think it's all about your perspective about life, about world, about yourself, and about your surrounding. And I think if your perspective changes, half problem solved.
So it's no longer a work-life balance that they talk about, it's work-life fit. That they're fitting everything however they can, wherever they can, and make the best of it. Just by hearing you, I can see that you're such an inclusive leader. You are even considering the younger generations and being such a champion of inclusion. You've also included other genders as well, and I think that's such a fantastic movement because I think having people in the front line accepting everyone as they are would be the start. This will be where you can actually create and show that you're creating psychological safety. So tell me a little bit, how does this fit into your mission or vision as Unilever for Pakistan?
Well, I think so. This is one of the verticals
Yeah.
which we are driving. It's all about, I've talked about three things, that whatever you do is economically sound. Second, it's environmentally sustainable. And the third one is socially just.
Socially just, yes.
And being inclusive is a part of being socially just. That whoever you induct in the organization, और हमने आपने आपसे बात की थी जब हम इसको क्राफ्ट कर रहे थे यूनिलीवर पाकिस्तान, कि वो जो कंट्री का मिक्स है उसको मिरर करें. और हमारी ख्वाहिश है, और हम लोग उससे बहुत दूर हैं अभी भी, कि हमारी कंपनी के अंदर लोग जो सोशियो इकोनॉमिक बैकग्राउंड से आएँ, उस हर सोशियो इकोनॉमिक बैकग्राउंड से आएँ, कोई एक ख़ास सोशियो इकोनॉमिक क्लास हमारी कंपनी के अंदर ना आए. हमारे कंपनी के अंदर जितनी भी लोग काम करें वो हर किस्म के एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं, वो खाली IB के ना हों, वो पेशावर यूनिवर्सिटी से भी हों, वो बहादीन ज़करिया यूनिवर्सिटी से भी हों, वो ख्वाजा फरीद यूनिवर्सिटी से भी हों, ठीक है, बिकॉज टैलेंट कैन कम फ्रॉम एनीवेयर, गुड टैलेंट. हमारा ये भी है कि यार हमारे पास एथनिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन जो पाकिस्तान की रिप्रेजेंटेशन है वही होनी चाहिए. हमारे पास रिलीजियस रिप्रेजेंटेशन वही होनी चाहिए वो पाकिस्तान की. आज हमारे पास ऑफिस के अंदर, आई एम वेरी प्राउड टू से दैट, कि हमारे ऑफिस के अंदर ना सिर्फ मस्जिद है बल्कि मल्टी फेथ प्रेयर रूम भी है. बिकॉज वी हैव हिंदूज वर्किंग फॉर अस, वी हैव क्रिश्चियंस वर्किंग फॉर अस, we have Muslims working for us, so we want to give equal opportunity and make everyone feel like a integral part of this country. And then likewise, from a gender perspective, our ambition is to get 50-50 in the next few years, कि हमारे पास 50% women हो, 50% men हो. We are today 35. And also, from other gender perspective, हमारे पास transgenders काम कर रहे हैं, हमारे पास काफ़ी sales के अंदर है. हमारे पास सबसे बड़ी ये है कि हमारे पास आज ऑफिस के अंदर यूजली आप आउटसाइड सेल में तो कर लेते हैं बट ऑफिस में नहीं कर पाते. तो हम लोगों ने एक प्रोग्राम स्टार्ट किया था अपलिफ्ट के नाम से, अपलिफ्ट ट्रेनीज. और हमने कहा था कि जो लोग फिजिकली इम्पेयर्ड फील कर रहे हैं, या जो लोग साइट इम्पेयरमेंट है या हेयरिंग इम्पेयरमेंट है बट टैलेंटेड हैं, वो हमारे हेड ऑफिस से काम करें. तो आज आई एम वेरी हैप्पी कि आज हमारे पास 15 लोग हमारे हेड ऑफिस के अंदर वही काम कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, जो कि बिकॉज वी डू अ लॉट ऑफ strategy work in the head office.
Yes.
So we have people like, we have 7 to 11 physically impaired people. They have automated wheelchairs, completely unmanned. There's no one who is actually pulling them. They move on their own. Our entire office is compliant for the physically impaired people. Then we have people who have sight impairment. Fantastic. So we have given them those programs that जो कि ग्लोबली होते हैं, जो कि साइट इम्पेयर्ड लोग होते हैं उनके लिए, and they move around the office. Again, we have tried to make it compliant. And then hear impairment जिनको है, हमारे there's a software called sign language, हम उनको सिखाते हैं. हमारे पास sign language के लोग यहाँ पर हैं. Then there's a program called JAWS, या उसको यूज करते हैं. So देखिए, we are too early in that journey, ठीक है, but हमारी intent है, ख्वाहिश है हमारी, ठीक है, कि हम इसको आगे लेकर चलें. We give equal opportunity to everyone because that's their social right.
I think आप early कह रहे हैं, but just by hearing this, I mean, sometimes I get goosebumps because we hear this it's very few examples that we see around. And but to be future ready, I think your organization, led by you, will have to account for these aspects, and I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. And yes, on a global scale, it is early, but it's all about the human aspect. It's about the people, and I think that
इस पूरे प्रोसेस के अंदर एक चीज का ये ख्याल रखना है, the performance of the company must not get compromised.
Of course,
because that's what it is all about. Sustainable living plan जो है ना, it has to be a win-win. Because we are not an NGO organization, we are not a charity organization. At nowhere any of these initiatives comes at the cost of the performance, because then the shareholders may come and question that we have invested in this company to draw returns. So we have to do it in a manner that every box get ticked. The social box get ticked, the environmental box get ticked, and the economic box get ticked. So that's the key, because we don't want many a time such things can become the poster child. Oh, Unilever ने या किसी भी कंपनी ने जिनके हेयर इम्पेयरमेंट है उनको रख लिया है, या
बस
ट्रांसजेंडर्स
just
को रख लिया
हाँ
है, ठीक है.
हाँ
You cannot make it a poster child. Everyone has to make a place in the company on pure merit.
perfect.
No compassion. So हम किसी बंदे को compassion ground पे नहीं लेकर आते.
Right.
अगर कोई physically भी impaired है या उसकी hair impairment है, the person will not get into the company on the compassionate ground. The person will always get into the company on the pure merit, because at the end of the day, this person has to create similar value in the organization which any other person has to create.
He has to be a part of that momentum.
Yes, and then basically when we go through the rounds of promotion, the person must get evaluated basis merit, not on compassion. So that becomes very important, because otherwise you say यार अच्छा काम कर लेते हैं 5 लोगों को basically hire कर लेते हैं जो कि
तो हमारा tick in the box हो जाएगा.
physically disabled है, you can't do, you're doing disservice to those individuals.
Yes.
And you're doing disservice to your own organizational
And like I said,
motto.
none of this now is hidden. I mean, it's so visible, and the vision, the passion that you're showing here, it has to be then executed, and you have to see results. Because सिर्फ बातों पे तो नहीं आप company चलाते हैं, you have to produce results. At the end of every dark tunnel, there is hopefully a light. And for Unilever, what positive outcomes do you see on the horizon? What is that light?
Pakistan की बात करें. Well, I think so. To be honest, we have been here for the last 75 years, where Pakistan has gone through the toughest time. We have taken a long position in the country as a company. We always had, we always, even today, and we'll always will, because globally, our principal looks at the country from a lens that this country has a long, long future.
Fantastic.
The talent is absolutely fantastic.
So it's not like one of those companies who are ready to bail. जैसे कुछ हो जाए तो bail कर जाए.
हम fly by night वाले हैं नहीं. ठीक है. We have our skin in the game.
Yeah.
Because all our manufacturing facility is onshore. 99.9% production is all made in Pakistan.
Yeah.
By Pakistan.
Yes.
Distributed by Pakistanis. Developed by Pakistanis.
That's what I love. That's why they're so fresh. Everything is so fresh.
So everything is here. So we have our skin in the game. We are not an offshore company sitting on the fence watching कि कभी हालात खराब होंगे तो there's a fight and flight. We are always in a fight mode. We never go into a flight mode. We have never gone in a flight mode.
Fantastic.
And I think so. That's what my advice to everyone. When you come to this country, come with a fight mode, not with a flight mode, because then actually you lose out on the treasure that lies in this country. But you got to basically go through a treasure hunt, and it won't basically lie in front of you.
It's never going to be that easy, and I think that's why it's going to be more rewarding. Also, I'm sure that if you look at your journey as an organization and your journey per se, it's very rewarding when you can make that difference in anybody's life. You've had the opportunity of also working for for Unilever Global. मुझे बताएं कि उधर के क्या best practices, कौन सी वो learnings हैं जिससे हम, if other companies, they want to, what are those great things that one can do, and what you have done here in Unilever Pakistan. So if you can share a little of that.
So I think so interestingly, these youngsters ask me how long you have been with the company, and I tell them I've stopped counting. And they say क्या आपको नौकरी नहीं मिली, क्या आप किसी कंपनी के साथ काम कर रहे हैं 20-25 साल से? मैंने कहा नहीं, ऐसी बात नहीं है, मुझे अच्छी नौकरियां ऑफर हुई in the past. But one reason I stuck around with this company, that with Unilever, a country and a context can change, but one thing doesn't change, and that's the value system.
Fantastic.
So you go anywhere in the world, and I've abroad, and I've interacted, and that value system is all around respect, dignity, and fair treatment. These are the words.
Respect, dignity, and fair treatment.
These are the words. You go anywhere in the world, the country can change, the context can change, but these three things will never change. And I've stuck around for 25 years because at no point in my career ever felt disrespected. I've never felt that मुझे fair treatment नहीं दी गई है. And मुझे कभी ऐसा feel नहीं हुआ कि मेरी dignity compromise हुई है. और मेरे ख्याल में that's the beauty of the organization. That's being the beauty of what we have embraced globally, and we continue to embrace, and that's what sets us apart, not our products. Because our product,
the principles, the values,
the value system.
Yes,
people come to
institutionalized,
the company,
and
that people come for the value system. That today, जो हम उर्दू में कह देते हैं, इज्जत नफ्स, वो मेरी मजरू नहीं होगी. Because anyone can earn money. You can earn more money.
Absolutely.
People working here can actually earn a lot more than money than they're working for Unilever. But what thing is important is...
So never compromising on values or your principles and being true to it.
Correct.
And plus I had to see you sitting here one day anyway, so you had to be here. है ना, Amir? ये भी तो था. अच्छा, so before I... you've been fantastic and thank you so much. It's just before I know we're coming to the end. I don't want to come to the end, but let's do one of those, funny things that we do. Like it's called a rapid fire kind of thing. So I'm going to spare you on a couple of things. I'm not going to ask you names of actresses. Don't worry. So this is now Amir. Okay? We're not talking to the CEO. We're talking to Amir.
Okay.
Sales or marketing? Without thinking, just tell me what's in your heart. Marketing. Books or podcasts?
Anytime books.
Netflix or cinemas? None. Okay. Digital marketing or, buying online, e-commerce or traditional retail? As Amir.
Traditional.
ठीक है. Unilever Pakistan or Unilever Global? Everything that has Unilever on it. No, ये cut.
Anything which has Unilever in it.
Acha, you've already mentioned this, but I'm going to again, and I was first thinking about it, कि मैं पूछूं कि नहीं, because we talk about profits and people, anyone would say people, but you very beautifully said, I was going to ask you, leaders who care for people or leaders who care for profits?
People with profit.
Okay. Then you'll be able to care for people, I suppose. Fantastic. And pioneering new markets or consolidating existing ones?
Pioneering new markets.
Fantastic. Amir, one last advice for our Pakistani emerging leaders. We would love to hear how can you inspire them and aspire them, and how can they significantly impact the organizations they work in and the communities that they live in. What would be that one advice that you would like to leave them with today?
So we have a big young population. Inshallah, one day they are going to be, or there are many of them, they are going to be a part of the workforce. The realities I grew up were very different. My competition was with warm bodies.
Yes.
Their competition is with cold bodies. Their competition is with AI. Their competition is with robots. So their realities are very different versus my reality. At least मुझे पता था जिसके साथ मैं compete कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है, ये जीता जागता इंसान है. इन्होंने जिसके साथ compete करना है, वो जीता जागता इंसान नहीं है, ठीक है. It's their replica.
वो pervasive है.
वो pervasive है, वो थकता भी नहीं है, उसको जो है mental well-being का भी problem नहीं है, वो salary का raise भी नहीं मांगता, ठीक है, और उसके कोई जो है 9 to 5 timings भी नहीं है, ठीक है. तो वो तो एक बड़ा different creature है, and that's the reality that's going to strike you, and you need to get ready for that. So that's number one, and the only way to get ready is get more tech savvy.
Involved in
get
it.
Involved
get to know what the...
Get tech savvy, because that's what
use it. Yes.
That's what it is. It's all about AI and it's all about robots. It's all about algos. So that's number one. Number two is think beyond yourself. Be an impact leader, not just a leader. Because becoming a leader is very simple. When you say, I want to be an impact leader, there are companies called impact companies or impact funds. They're impact leaders as well. And impact leaders are not there just to make profit. Impact leaders are the one who make an impact a lot larger than and bigger than who they are.
Absolutely. And beyond themselves.
Beyond themselves. And even then you leave a legacy.
Yeah. So even when they're not there,
they leave a legacy. And
yes.
Our founder, our prophet, they're impact leaders.
Absolutely.
And that's and think that way, and then develop yourself, and then curate yourself, and carve out yourself accordingly. Dream big. That's important. Yeah. So I'll end it by saying 6-7 things. Number one, the journey starts with dreaming. So you've got to be really dreaming big. But anyone can dream.
Yeah.
The
Khayali
second-
pulao now.
Khayali pulao now. It is followed by, but you've got to be a dreamer as well.
True.
It's important.
You need to practice
You
that
need to start
exercise, that
envisioning
skill.
big.
Yes.
You start dreaming big. The second step that's required is the courage to act. Because ख्वाब तो हर कोई देख लेता है, but उस पे act करना इतना आसान नहीं है. Once you have the courage to act, the third thing which is very important is perseverance, sticking around. Because action तो ले लिया, ठीक है. But अब challenges आ रहे हैं, there's a high probability that you give in.
Yeah.
So that perseverance becomes very, very important, which is hard work and commitment.
And sticking around.
And sticking around. The fourth thing is you need a basic level of intelligence of EQ and IQ, both. Not only IQ. You do not need to be only brainy. You need to be emotionally aware as well. That's the fourth thing which is very important. The fifth thing that is very, very important is your luck.
वो कहाँ से मिलती है?
वो कहीं से नहीं मिलती है.
Actually, it's kind
you
of
got to be at the right place. You got to be at the right place at the right time. And when you know when you're at the right place at the right time, you got to seize the moment. Because many people get that moment, they are at the right place at the right time, but they don't seize it. So that becomes very important.
So what we also say is that you are a result of your decisions, not your conditions.
Correct.
So even if you have the right conditions,
so everyone, so lucky break, I say everyone will get every lucky break. Sometimes some people get early in the stage, some people get late in the stage. It's up to you whether you seize that moment or not. And finally, and I'm a strong believer, God blessings has to be there. So you get all this, but God blessings towards the end is important. Many people I've seen who are intelligent, who were hardworking, with perseverance. But unfortunately, for some odd reason, they've not been able to seize the moment. And I think
faith.
So. Have faith. Have faith. And stay happy.
That's fantastic, Amir. आपने तो पूरी एक encyclopedia दे दी है हमें और what to do. And I think आपके, if we borrow your mission, Unilever for Pakistan, as you said in your interview so beautifully, that it's what we do when we stick around. It's everyone, like Mariam for Pakistan, Amir for Pakistan, everybody for Pakistan.
Actually, we have a scarf है हमारे पास. उस स्कार्फ के ऊपर एक्चुअली यही लिखा हुआ है.
है ना?
हाँ.
Everyone for Pakistan. Why not?
के जितने भी एम्प्लॉयज हैं, उनका नाम लिखा हुआ है.
Fantastic.
Exactly.
So and so for Pakistan.
And this is for Pakistan. This is Pakistan. And you find your expression for Pakistan.
Yes.
Your expression may be education. Your expression may be climate. Someone's expression may be charity.
I like that word expression. Yes.
So you can find which is more you, which is you find more soulfulness in that one. Not necessarily livelihood.
Contribution. I think that sense of purpose and contribution is absolutely so important because everybody's circle of influence has their own, ingredients.
Because I always tell myself, Amir, when you die, and you basically have a conversation with the God, other than selling soap and soup, what you'll tell. So I have to tell something meaningful, that I've done something beyond selling soap and soup.
I'm sure you have.
All I hope so.
You have to jot it down.
With the God.
You have to jot it down and remind yourself.
So I have to have some meaningful conversation with the God. That is, I sent you to this world for X many years. What did you do? Just selling soaps and soups? And I said, no, God, I've done more than that. So I think that's very
something
important.
For the hair and skin too.
Something for the hair after.
Thank you so much, Amir. बहुत shukriya. I mean, I had so much fun.
Thank you.
I'm sure the viewers are going to enjoy this. And best of luck and continue doing the greatness that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.